Hello, how's everybody doing today? This is Pastor Green. So, I wanted to make another video. I was listening to the radio the other day, and they were talking about Mary and Martha. And, I found out that a lot of churches, when they talk about Mary and Martha, they always talk about how great Mary was and how bad Martha was. And I'm going to tell you the quick story about Mary and Martha. That way you get the gist of it. I'm sure most of you already know about it. But Jesus shows up kind of randomly, without notice, at Mary and Martha's house. And immediately, Mary sits down at the feet of Jesus and listens to what he says. And Martha starts getting busy, cleaning, cooking. She's got a guest, so she's got to be ready for him. And finally, Martha just gets frustrated, and she comes to Jesus and she says, "Jesus, how are you going to let Mary just sit there when there's stuff that needs to be done? You basically got to tell her to help me out." And Jesus says, "Martha, you're concerned about many things, but, at this point in time, Mary has picked what's best." And I guess what basically he's trying to say was, I showed up randomly at your house. I didn't announce myself. And so how would you know that you're going to have a guest? But since I'm here, you don't want to ignore your guest. You want to spend time with your guest. So at this point in time, Mary picked the right thing because she's spending time with the guest. And I think about that, going back to my life. I've got two very, very young kids that live with me. And my house is a mess a lot of times. Not always, but, I've got two kids. They make messes. So if you show up randomly at my house, there's a pretty good chance that there's going to be toys and stuff laying around that the kids are playing with. And it's not necessarily going to be, perfect. But if you give me warning, then I can clean up and be ready for you. Not to say that the kids aren't going to make a mess, because kids seem to make a mess really quickly. But I'm more apt to have the house looking presentable if I know I'm going to have a guest, rather than if you randomly show up. And, it's interesting, people always talk about Mary and Martha as Mary being the good one and Martha kind of being the bad one. But I don't think that's what Jesus was saying. I think Jesus was simply saying, when you have a guest, you should spend time with your guest and not ignore your guest, I guess. And then you go back to thinking about Jesus. The life of Jesus, he would go and just heal multitudes of people. And there's stories about him feeding 4,000 and 5,000 people. But it mentions basically that's only the men, so it was probably closer to 20,000 or more people that he fed. He'll sit there and just heal all these people. And then later on that night or the next day, he's secluded somewhere all by himself praying. And Jesus could have very easily have just spent his whole entire ministry healing people. In fact, it's arguably that he's going to get more converts if all he does is go around and heal people. But I think Jesus realized that there's a time and a place for self-reflection and time with God. And if you keep yourself busy all the time, you can't do that. As Christians, we think we got to be on the PTO, we got to be on a soccer team, we got to be on the coach of our child's sports, we got to volunteer for this at church, and we want to do all these things, and that's fine. But we also got to take time out to glorify God and to pray. And I think a lot of people they don't understand that there's some kind of a balance. Some days you got to be a Mary, and some days you got to be a Martha. But I think that a true Christian, somebody that really is following God, is going to be a little bit of both, depending on the situation. I think it's good to volunteer for things, but also think it's good to take some time to yourself. And I always look at Jesus as that example. He'd go and heal people, and then he'd go and relax. He spent probably half his time healing and half his time secluded by himself praying. And I just wanted to share that because so many churches give Martha a bad rap, and I could understand in this situation why that would be. But I think we have to be a little bit of Mary and a little bit of Martha. I'm going to go ahead and put the Bible verse down below in the description. That way you can see, to look up the verse for yourself and read about Mary and Martha. And I just want you guys to comment. Let me know what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe, share it. I want to know what you guys think about this in the comments. Anyways, guys, have a great day. I'll see you next time.